If you enjoy what we do here, you should definitely check out youtube.com/@MWPNewsGaming. It's our new YouTube channel where we do basically talking like this while also playing video games, old games, older games. We'd like to do new games, but those cost money. So old games, older games, retro games, forgotten games, all kinds of games. While I talk about it, get frustrated, all that kind of cool stuff. We talk about, movies, TV shows, anything like that. YouTube.com/@MWPNewsGaming. Please be sure you subscribe. That'll help us out a lot. And if you feel like we're doing a good job, please donate. co-fi.com/MWPnews. Thank you and enjoy this episode. Good morning and welcome to, where are we? Beware of spoilers. I am Adam. On this, it is Monday morning. So, a few years ago, we covered a book on this show called The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which was really my first introduction to V.E. Schwab as an author. She had some books before that, The Darker Side of Magic and other things. Invictus is a movie. I don't know if that's a sequel to A Darker Side of Magic, but she had a few series that came out before this, and this was a standalone book about this woman whose life is, she was doomed to be in the shadows, where it's like she's immortal, but she'll never make an impact or something like that, if I remember correctly. It's been years since I read that book, but I really liked it. I was dissuaded from reading some of her other stuff by one of my friends who was like, that might be good, but some of her other stuff she had some issues with. And I was like, well, maybe I'll check it out at some point, but I just never got around to it. This year, one of the marquee science fiction titles coming out, or that has come out by this point, is a book called Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, which is this, centuries-spanning vampire novel that I really enjoyed. I really liked this book. This is probably going to end up being my book of the year. This is my favorite book I've read this year. And granted, I haven't read that many books this year. I've read Sunrise on the Reaping, a few Star Wars novels here and there. But this is easily my favorite book this year, so far. So it follows, it spans centuries, and it follows these women who, who become vampires, and their lives as they change and develop, as they deal with this newfound immortality, power, and bloodlust. And then the ensuing loneliness and isolation and, all of that comes with it. There are three women. There's Maria, who was born in the 1500s in Spain. She was, she becomes a vampire first. There's Lottie, who becomes a vampire in the 1800s. And then there is, they keep calling her, any kind of talk about, Alice is her name, who was voiced by, in the audiobook, Kitty Lung, who plays Cho Chang in Harry Potter. She is turned to a vampire in 2019. And it's about how these three women's lives, develop, interact, and become this, this thing, and about all of that. Now, I don't want to spoil the book too much, because there's a lot that, I could talk about in terms of what's in this book, like the idea that, some of what happens later on, and there's a turn that happens later on, and what this is pretty interesting. Now, there is the ending that I think is going to be probably the most, divisive part of this. Me personally, I like the ending, but I could see people not liking it because I feel like there is an element of victimhood to a lot of what happens in the end. I'm trying not to spoil it because I want people to read it and make their own decisions. I liked it. I think that for the character that does what she does, I think it works. I don't think that had they ended it in a happier place, as alluded to earlier in the book, I don't think that would have been quite as satisfying. But I think that, getting this to happen the way it does, I think was the strongest outcome for this novel. And I think the thing is that works about it is, we've talked about on this show, or on 30-minute reviews, we talked about, the Declaration of Rights of Magicians, which is, this historical fantasy novel set during the French Revolution and the establishment of the French government, the democratic French government in the aftermath of the, in the aftermath of the French Revolution. We talked about there this idea of, these things work within the historical context. You have to make the historical context feel real. And I think to an extent, V.E. Schwab does such a great job in this book. And I think that it's something that, because really the only character who is really set in the modern times is Alice, and she is kind of interspersed throughout the book. Sparsely. She's not really a main character. It's just, it's almost cinematic the way that she's in, where it's she's a vehicle to give exposition to explain what the climactic mission is, and that is kind of an interesting way to do it. And I think it's that's twofold, because then also Lottie is also kind of that, but not really. Not really. No, that's a wrong way to put it. But the idea that okay, go ahead. But the idea that everything else is set in the past, and I think that one of the things she does really well is really flesh out these time periods and make them feel authentic, even if there are vampires there. Anytime that she goes anywhere, it's 15th century Spain. I mixed up the order, 16th century, 15th century, whatever. That feels real. They go to Venice at one point, and that Venice part is just heartbreaking. The way that they handle the whole thing in Venice, where it's it's about Maria coming into her abilities and learning under a vampire who's going to train her how to actually harness and use her abilities and be able to live without getting killed. Because that's the thing, is that it's you get caught being a vampire, they'll go straight up kill you, because that's just a thing that probably you should do to vampires. So the idea that she's gonna be trained on how to do this in there, she's gonna learn some of the intricacies of what happens. It's what happens, how do you deal with things like the sunlight issue, and how do you maintain a life? How do you not leave wakes of bodies in your path and not, how do you not leave all these bodies in your wake and not raise suspicion? How do you build a life in somewhere when you are seemingly immortal and not aging? These are all key questions that are we probably should think about this a little bit. But and this guy takes her under her wing and shows her. And I think they do it it's such a great thing. And then it's he also has the human who he trusts with his secret that he's in love with, and the two of them have this relationship that just spans decades. He's not aging, but his human companion is, and it's just the look at grief as that happens. The human's I don't want to turn into this, but I love you. It's such a great, it's such a great part of it. And then the way we see those teachings get warped over time, and how they come back in major ways. It's just it is, the whole thing is just brilliant, the way it's done. And I think that whole, like, it's a story of, finding agency, finding what's I'm looking for here, like, finding oneself, and then just, being comfortable with that, if that makes sense, which is a chance it doesn't. But yeah, and the whole, like, the I guess queerness of it all is integral to the plot, because I think that's something that, it's definitely integral to the plot, because it was sold as, when I first read about it, it was, I saw it on, because I'll periodically, when I'm looking for books to read, and books to pre-order on Audible, I'll periodically go on BarnesandNoble.com and look at what's coming soon and be like, okay, well, that's a reprint, that's a reprint, that's a reprint. Oh, okay, well, that's something new. And then I'll just add it to my pre-orders. It's this, it was sold as a sapphic vampire, so I'm like, okay, well, let's see what this is. So there's, like, a lot of her books have that element to it, and for this to be, for intimacy to be intertwined with, with the vampirism. Is that a real word, or is that just something they invented for The Sims? I don't know. For that to be as entwined in this story as it is, it's interesting that, what's it called? It's interesting that, coming into that part of yourself is inherently tied to becoming more powerful, in a way, where I'm like, it's weird. It's like you got this thing, and it's like you got to suck blood, and it's debilitating, but at the same time, it's not really. You live forever. You get greater strength and speed, which they don't really touch on in the book that much. It gets used, occasionally. They'll mention like someone turns into a vampire, and it's like he's getting used to he's awkwardly moving because he's getting used to his newfound strength and speed. And then it's like, every once in a while they'll talk about how it's like there's a character who likes to hunt down, who likes to hunt down people, but likes to give chase because she's so much faster and stronger. It's like, we'll just let them, we'll let them get away a little bit, knowing there's no way that they will get away. Like, that aspect of it is not really touched on, but it's like you get this awakening from that, and you become something more. And I think that was a really interesting way to deal with this, with this story, because a lot of times we talk about vampires and it's the curse, but like, yeah, there's the curse, and like, even like Alice, who profoundly does not want this, and she has that crisis very early on where it's like, oh God, I'm dead. Like, I'm walking around and I'm doing, I'm doing, my thing, but like, I'm dead. And it's like, it's an interesting place to put these characters, where it's like they are, to have this be awakened by the, by that, and have that be such a key part of it, is the sexual awakening aspect of it. It's an interesting place to put these characters. But I did really enjoy this book. I would say this is, we don't have we don't really have a rating scale for books, but I would say this is 5 out of 5 stars. Check it out wherever you get your books. You can get it on Libby, you can get it on on Audible. That's where I listen to it. It's probably on Spotify. I'm still getting used to Spotify for audiobooks. But it's everywhere now. It's out. You can get it. I saw it at Target. Which is like, I said to my mom when we were in Target, I was like, oh, well, I read that book, it's pretty good. And she goes, what's it about? I'm like, it's about, sapphic vampires. She goes, oh, why are you reading stuff like that? And I'm like, if it was what you think I meant by that, then it wouldn't be given the shelf space in Target that it's being given. But we'll wrap up there for today. This week, we have Ironheart coming out. Now, let's address Ironheart's release schedule, because I'm not entirely thrilled about this. They're releasing 3 episodes at a time. 3 episodes this week, 3 episodes next week, for a total of 6. I'm not thrilled about that. It just feels like you're doing the binge thing in a stupid way. I did not like it for Andor. I do not like it for this. Partially because you're putting on 3 hours of TV a night at 9 o'clock Eastern. If I started at 9 o'clock, I'm not done watching until... What time would it be? Like, midnight? Like, I gotta go to work the next morning. Like, I don't like that. I don't usually start watching so much later anyway. But it's such a bizarre choice. I don't know why they keep doing it. I know why. It's because they paid for all this stuff, and they're like, well, we can't just take a tax write-off on it. We don't have that merger and acquisition window to do that. So let's just... we have to dump it out somehow, so let's just dump it out. And I hate that they're dumping these things out, in this way. And it's just kind of, it's shortchanging, it's shortchanging the audience. It's shortchanging the character. It's shortchanging the longevity of the brand. It's just like, that's the thing, is that once you start doing this, it comes off like you don't have confidence in it. Even though Andor came out and it was like the best show of the year, it comes off like you're like, well, let's just dump it out. And it's like, why are you doing that? What's the point? And I don't think there's a good reason to do that. But we will be doing, if not Wednesday, we will be doing on Thursday. We will be doing on Thursday Ironheart. And then we also have this week F1, the new movie with Brad Pitt. And Terry Condon, and I don't know the other guy's name, who's kind of a lead, but he's a newcomer, and it looks really good, and that will be coming out, later, later this week. We're doing that Friday. Whoa, that was weird. But yeah, we'll be back with all of that. I do have other things on the schedule, but we'll be back with all of that as it happens. Until our next episode, have a great rest of your week.